Jesus.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coast-to-Coast Combat Hour. I'm your host, Matthew Hawkins, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Ed Carbajal. Ed, we've reached a Combat Palooza weekend.
Yeah. And it's coming with all the shenanigans of a Combat Palooza weekend. I mean, we're gonna do the UFC card and stuff and everything, but I mean, if you haven't heard, since we're going about now, it's only a couple hours old. The news: Frankie Edgar is off the Newark BKFC card here in Jersey. I don't know why the article that everyone's citing local, they're not saying what the reason is. I do hear there's a replacement opponent for Jimmy Rivera, but either way, Frankie Edgar's off, so kind of sucks because if you're a Jersey fight fan, Frankie Edgar would be one of the reasons you go to see him fight. I'm kind of 50-50 because I wasn't too keen on him doing bare knuckle anyway, but I am a fan of the guy's efforts and whatever. Hopefully he's all right and it's nothing too bad and he just stays retired and enjoys life. But I figured I'd just put that out there because we are going to look at that card and they haven't updated their website yet. Feldman kind of hinted at it when he was talking to Long Nose up there in New York. That was around 4 p.m. my time, East Coast time. And then like literally 2 hours before, we usually record around 8:30 East Coast time. A couple hours before that is when it was confirmed by local media that fight was off. So
with that said, let's move to UFC 320 live from Las Vegas this Saturday, October 4th. Do you have the card to pull up there, Ed?
Yes, I do. I didn't set it up. My apologies. As I was complaining to you about other people before we started. Hold on, let me bring up. I almost brought up my notes. Let me bring up the correct card. There we go.
This is yeah. All right. So, as I said, October 4th, this Saturday, we headlined by rematch Alex Pereira, Magomed Ankalaev, return bout for both men as Ankalaev picked up the title in the first bout via decision. Strong card. Strong fun main card. Prelims got some action as well. The name that jumps out on me on the prelims is, of course, Patchy Mix. In what I'm going to say is essentially a must-win fight.
Yeah, they got him on the prelims.
Yeah, he's early. Yeah. He went from main event to, co-main event, main card to.
Yeah, and an interesting note about this featured middleweight bout with Gauthier and Tristan Vines. I haven't interviewed Tristan Vines. He's short notice. He fought under the platform that I do stuff for, Spectation Sports. So you can check out the guys. But they didn't call him out of the blue for no reason. Great fighter. I'm glad he got the call up, and that's why there's no image there because I think that happened last night. So
interesting. His photo is up on Tapology, so we know it's just strong. Of course, Andre. That doesn't look like the UFC decided to put. Okay, they got other names there. Anyway, strong prelims. Austin Vanderfort also on the early prelims.
Look at that.
So very interesting. Couple Bellator got one who got off to a good start in his career, the other one not so good. Both in kind of must-win situations with their situation and imagine what they're getting paid handsomely, considering that they got some years and some wear and tear behind them. The main card, though, I'd say the main card starts off well with a nice banger. Joe Pfeiffer, Abus Magomedov. Pfeiffer's a hard-hitting dude. Magomedov, definitely holds his own as well. So kind of, I'm not real sure. Joe Pfeiffer is one of those guys that kind of confuses me because I don't think he'll ever be like a world champion. He's kind of like a Matt Brown kind of guy, I would say maybe. Going to win some, going to lose some, always going to be exciting fights. With that said, I will pick him to win this fight. I'll take him to win by knockout because I think if he's going to win, that's kind of the way he's going to do things for the majority of his fights when he's not, I don't know. A guy durable like Kevin Gastelum's able to get to the final bell. I don't know if everybody is as good as that. So I'll pick him to win, but I don't even know what the odds are on this fight. Does it have them?
Yeah, he's minus 245 to
Okay, so I'm on the
Magomed.
gambler side of that.
Yeah.
Picking him to win.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I didn't really get to break it down in my notes as I was doing because I usually start from main to going down. But I agree with everything you said and makes a lot of sense. The odds make sense too. Oh, excuse me.
Next fight on the card, veteran Josh Emmett fights Youssef Zalal. Zalal's on a long win streak. Emmett coming off of a loss, but prior to that was, he's Josh Emmett. He's hard-headed dude who is kind of the same as the previously mentioned with Pfeiffer, kind of a, gonna, win it pretty or die ugly, basically, in the cage. I'm not real sure how to pick this fight. I'm at the bigger punchers. Zalal, like I said, hasn't lost in almost 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got on this one? I mean, I'm kind of up in the air. But I don't even know what the odds again on the DAR.
Minus 425 for Zalal.
Okay, so huge favorite.
And I kind of don't disagree with that. I mean, with Emmett's coming off a loss, and he's kind of been fighting for a while. I'd like him to win because I always root for the old school guys, but like you just mentioned a lot of reasons why. Look at, plus he's got a reach advantage on him too. It's hard.
No, I'm with you. I just, you always with Emmett, you're relying on that punch, the punch that changes the fight. Maybe it doesn't finish the fight, but it's big enough to put somebody on Dizzy Street for a while, and he can take advantage of it. I feel like Zalal's the pick based off, not only the odds, but he's on a long win streak. He's the up and comer. You'd figure he would be the guy who would kind of advance his career here, where Emmett's just kind of probably in a holding pattern essentially until retirement. Probably gonna have some good wins, some tough losses, but yeah, okay. Now, I mean, we talked into it. Now, but I don't think he finishes him. I think this fight probably goes to decision with Zalal getting the win. If
like maybe he fatigues him, maybe he wears him down, gets a lot of damage done. But yeah, no, I agree with you with that too. But yeah, we're both on the same page so far with these first two fights. This one I feel like we might differ. This is where I ended my notes, so I'll let you go first because I'm curious to see what you're.
Again, without looking at the odds, the first thing that comes to my mind on this fight is you've got two guys who will get damage to give damage. With that said, I feel like, Roundtree is the bigger puncher. I think more weapons come from Yuri that can be just as devastating. Elbows, knees, weird angle stuff, spinning stuff. I think you see that. I think whereas Roundtree's got a nice leg kick that, Prohaska, like I said, he kind of tends to try to walk through people, and that's worked for basically everybody other than Alex Bahia, who's got a massive punch. Not to put Khalil completely with him, but I do think that is a dangerous recipe if Yuri just thinks he's going to walk down Roundtree. And not get hit very, very hard. They're both coming off wins off of Jamal Hill. I've always been a big Yuri fan, but everything in me is picking Roundtree to win this fight by big punch.
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, no, we are on the same page again so far. I mean, I think this has potential to be one of the fight of the nights, especially off of the main card. The card is pretty well stacked, so there's a lot of potential with the other fights that Matt mentioned when we were looking at it. But just because of the aggression these guys bring to every fight, I feel like this is a contender for that. And I just think Roundtree brings a little more aggression. Prohaska is probably the more focused martial artist. Like you said, with the varied attacks and everything. Either guy can finish each other, but I'm leaning Roundtree, and I think he can he doesn't get a decision, he can probably maybe get like a TKO or something in the final round. But that's,
I guess 3-round fight. I keep thinking 5 rounds when you got some of these bigger name guys, but we're looking at a 3-round fight. So, yeah, I kind of feel like though Roundtree, if he hurts Yuri early, he needs to finish him because I think Yuri's better of the two of being able to fight through damage. So like I feel like if Roundtree gets hurt, I feel like it goes downhill quicker. I think Yuri, if you don't finish him, I think and I say that because he's got weird shit he can throw. You know, you don't have to be technical necessarily to, not that it's not technical, but you understand what I'm saying. Some of it is just kind of freestyle striking and stuff. And I think you can kind of be almost a drunken master, you know what I mean? Kind of while he's, punch drunk. I think he's better at that than where it's more dangerous because of his ability to throw so many things that don't necessarily have to be hard strikes. Elbows can cut you, knees can catch you. They don't have to be devastating. It's just you got to be throwing them. So I do feel like if Roundtree hurts him, he needs to go for the kill. If Yuri's able to survive that and it gasses or slows Roundtree in any way, I could see him kind of coming back from the dead early and kind of wearing on him for the next 2 rounds. But
the odds have Prochazka as minus 180. He's the favorite with Roundtree as a plus 150 underdog. These are the DraftKings odds off of the UFC.com website.
So that's fair. You're almost a 2-1 favorite, but plus 150 is not that's a very game underdog. So I do.
Shout out to the last round and Antoine trying to break your balls about the Raiders over here. But really quick, we don't have time because there's so much going on. I'm glad the last round just chimed in. I know we heard the Zuffa boxing news and all that stuff with Paramount. We got too much to talk about for this weekend. We'll probably get into that in a next week or the week after. But back to this. You were saying about this fight before we move on.
After sitting here and kind of thinking about it more, and like I said, my heart was going Yuri, but my brain is telling me that he takes a lot of punishment, and it's hard to take punishment from a guy like Roundtree. Most people don't walk through his punches, so I feel like he lands one.
And I think Roundtree just wears damage better than Prochazka does. Like, and by that I just mean he just seems to. I don't want to say more durable, but
Prochazka's definitely a bleeder. I would say, in a sense that, and he's kind of he's got the Eastern European kind of boxy. You got some angles on your skin that seems to me like can cut to your bone structure and stuff. So I do think that there is some things to that around the eyes and stuff. And I do.
No, I agree with you.
But I got to be careful pointing out differences because I feel like I don't want
anybody to get triggered off of anything. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm very careful about. But I do. He's I feel like that's an issue. So I think that why you say that. I do feel though, like as I mentioned, I do feel like he's better punch drunk fighter than Roundtree. But at the same time, he shows it more, and you're gonna know when he's hurt. Whereas unless Roundtree gets a giant cut over his head like he did in the Pahea fight, you're not necessarily gonna know a lot of the damage he's taken. But if I could only pick one fight to watch, this would be the fight. Like all the other fights, I've either seen them or I'm kind of like, okay, like
that's
this
why
is
I said
fight
of the night.
If there was only one fight, you can pick one fight on this card to watch. You don't get to ever know the results of any of the other ones. Honestly, that's the fight I'd watch. And then I'd worry about the rest down the line. But that's what I would do. So interesting, great fight.
It is. I forgot to say when I talked when the guys from the last round chimed in. If you want really good analysis and reactions to that, listen to their episode from this week because they got into it in depth. And again, me and Matt just got too much to talk about tonight. So we're moving on to these super predictable co-main and main events. I don't not to fucking twist a knife in anybody, but come on already, these fights. But I'll let you go first with this. Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen. And I like Corey Sandhagen too.
I like Corey Sandhagen. I think he'd be a more fun champion to have, but I don't think he's as good as Merab. I think Merab is just an engine that just keeps going. I think he manages to, short of rolling into like an omoplata or something, or doing something where Sandhagen's able to catch like a guillotine on like, you know what I mean? Some kind of in a transition, kind of wild. Like or a flying knee. I mean, but to me, those are 1 in 10. You know what I mean? That makes you a big underdog, and that's just, I'm not gonna bet on that. Merab,
Plus
sometimes he's exciting,
underdog.
sometimes he's a little bit boring, but he's dominant, and that's to me like, that's what a champion is dominant. And I just feel like he figures out a way to win this fight. I do. I feel like it's just going to be relentless. I think Sandhagen becomes frustrated.
When you got a nickname, the Machine.
Yeah,
it's like that's earned for a reason, and I think we've seen as in his rise to getting the title and defending it, we've seen the reason why he's called the Machine, because the guy just doesn't stop. If you watched, Smashing Machine comes out this weekend, and Mark Kerr and Joe was on Joe Rogan's podcast. When they both talk about Merab, they talk about guys that have another gear that other people just don't have. It's just something, you either have it or you don't. And Merab has it, and he's going to have it for a little while, I think. The only time I kind of like, when you try to play devil's advocate, I always think about that last shot from the first time him and O'Malley fought, because O'Malley did find a chink in his armor, and I think if Sandhagen looks at that and is able to attack his soft tissue, maybe liver shot or something, like that's why when I was nodding my head when you mentioned the knee, if he can hit him with something that actually hurts him, because you're not gonna knock him out, so you have to do something that's no fighter can ignore, which is something soft tissue damage, liver shot, a calf kick that damages a leg nerve that takes away his takedowns. Something to that effect is the only way you're gonna slow down or stop him. And Sandhagen might have that in his arsenal, but to get it off, you have to have a moment where you can have some sort of output, and that's Dvalishvili's whole thing, is where he just takes that all away from you. He's Dvalishvili's minus 380 to Sandhagen's plus 300. So
sounds about right. I mean, The cool thing about Sandhagen is I don't think you're going to be him looking up you're going to see him looking up at the ref begging to be stood up. I think he's going to be active. I think he's going to be trying to do stuff, but I do think he's going to end up being really extremely frustrated probably midway through this fight, where he's just, I think that's, I think we kind of seen it. And one of these times someone's going to catch Merab, but I don't think we're quite there yet. I think he's got a little bit more on his legacy to keep building here.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of legacy, we move to the main event. The champ, Magomed Ankalaev. Alex Bahia, I mean, he's a legend. He is what he is. He had that run he had a couple years ago or a year ago is something that the history book should always mention. I mean, the way he stepped up, the devastating fashion he was winning fights, all of that was super exciting. I mean, he saved the UFC honestly for about a 2-year period. With that all said, his legacy kind of comes down to this fight a little bit. I mean, you can't really be the best ever if you're not even the best in your division. So I'm not really, you know what I mean? Like, you at some point here, I feel like, and with that said, I feel like the UFC's got a trilogy brewing here. I mean, I just kind of feel like that there's a real, I feel like if these guys both are fight to their game, I feel like Magomed beats him. I feel like his grappling, I feel like his ability to surprise striking, I think wins. Again, this is one where my brain's saying take a Magomed, but I'm going to go with my heart here, and I'm going to say that he gets caught with something and we see a trilogy fight where Magomed eventually wins that one. I feel like maybe Ankalaev gets a little bit happy in this fight, maybe a little bit, I don't know. I don't, because I don't think he's a stupid fighter.
Because I forgot, I left my phone in the other room. Can you check the odds? Because these are just the straight odds that they post on here, and they have Pajeda as plus 230, to Ankalaeva's minus 285 as a favorite. But can you check the odds for, because they're not going to have him on here. Oh no, they do have him on here. They never have him on here. Never mind.
For Pahea?
Yeah, no. Well, I wanted the method of victory odds.
Oh,
They usually don't have him on the website. I'm surprised UFC.com put him. I guess because it's the main event, but they have Pereira's a plus 320 to win by KO. If you're, because I know he's got a lot of fans. If you're trying to bet something, I like you said, if he can find a way to stop him, I think that's the smart bet to make. If you're trying to make a dog bet on Pereira, but I don't see this fight going any different than the last fight. I don't think there's enough time or anything for Pereira to up his wrestling enough to take away the control that Ankalaev won the fight with. The only reason I agreed about your trilogy comment is because I could see a trilogy happening even if it goes the same way it went the last time. Because let's be honest, if you remember, Dana White was not happy that the fight went the way it went last time, because you don't see people walking around and making memes and stuff of Ankalaev and all that, like for marketing and all that stuff. Pereira's the better guy, the more marketable fighter. You know, that's the thing about these stoic, dominant Dagestani Russian dudes. That's why that guy didn't get picked up from Contender Series. He won, but even Dana White was just kind of like, yeah, you won, but it was boring. It was boring, you know, like he talks about selling oh shit moments, and you know, if you're gonna grapple and just wear a guy down, there's an exciting way to do it, like Merab. You can do it like Merab, where he's like a little buzzsaw, or you can do it in the boring way that these Surgeon General bearded guys do it from that side of the world. So,
yeah, I see it, but I don't know if I have a hard time getting behind that, because I think about all the guys throughout MMA history who would have never even given a chance if they had to fight by the routine. I mean, Mark Kerr would have basically never existed. He went 40 minutes with a guy who was, you know, 100 pounds lighter than him. You know, like I mean, so some of that stuff, like I'm like, for me, it's like, okay, you want moments, send them to the WWE. That's what TKO is for. Or that's what WWE and TKO's deals for. If you're looking for the best fighter in the world, you just got to deal with what it is. And but they've also made it clear that they're not. You know what I mean? It's not like they've hidden their what the UFC's playbook is. They're not necessarily looking for the best fighter in the world. They're looking for the most exciting fighter in the world. That's what it is. So I guess if you're not hiding that really, and you know, that's what I mean. It's why we're talking about McGregor fighting at the White House, essentially. No, but if you think McGregor's anywhere near the top 25 at this point, really, I mean, top 25, okay, anywhere near the top 15, no. So we're and that goes for Chandler too. Chandler, I don't feel like he hasn't won a fight since he was in Bellator at this point. You know, so it's not like, you know, guys are, you know, we're looking for necessarily the best fighters in the world to showcase. We're gonna have two of the guys who are likely gonna go out there, swing for the fences, and someone's gonna get knocked out. Which, hey, it is what it is. It's fun to watch. When I go to events, I like to watch that too. But I hate seeing guys' careers not being allowed to advance because you didn't win the way I want you to win. To me, that's becoming that's. You know, a lot of guys wouldn't have existed. Dan Severn would have never existed. You know what I mean? A lot of guys would have never existed. So, with all that said, I do enjoy this pay-per-view. I look forward to watching it.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
It's definitely going to be a dual screen evening.
It will be a dual screen. But there is a little action the night before, and we don't talk a lot about PFL, but they do have two great title fights this Friday night. So why don't we quickly at least acknowledge that fact? Corey Anderson, Yagshita Muradov, he changed his first name. I don't remember it being Doviet before. I feel like it was something else that was really hard to pronounce when he was in Bellator. Corey Anderson already has a win over him in Bellator from the tournament a few years back now, the good old days. I think Corey Anderson's just gotten better with age. So I'm going to pick him to win. Yakshin Muradov's fun fighter, stocky. But I think Corey Anderson is a much more diverse MMA fighter than he is.
Yeah, no, I always root for. I mean, all the Bellator dudes. The PFL website's a fucking mess. I was gonna try to bring up the.
I mean, I can just walk you through the other couple of them.
No, the Magomedov Pettis fight is interesting.
Megomedov, Sergio Pettis. Said it before. I'll never bet against a double Megomed.
Here we go.
So Megomedov. I'm picking to beat Sergio Pettis as well.
Yeah, and then obviously the Hughes Nurmagomedov. You know, that's the second time. Again, this fight should not be under your radar. It's not, and again, it's not the fault of the fighters. This promotion or the network or who the fuck knows what's going on anymore. But it's just like, you know, this is probably one of the better cards they've had since they've been doing whatever, and it seems like nobody knows about it. So,
well, and am I seeing this right that there's no real way to watch it? Because it's not listed. There's no broadcast listed on Tapology. Well, I mean, I shouldn't say no real way to watch it. No,
it's supposed to be on some version of ESPN, whether it be that new $30 app or that's, you know, it's supposed to be on one of the ESPN offerings during the day. Again, I mean, their contract is through 2026. I know John Martin kind of mentioned it when we talked about him last. He's aware of it, and I again, ESPN doesn't give a shit about combat sports. There'll probably be some fucking little league baseball bullshit on TV when this fight should be on. So, but anyway, I mean, if you can find it, they do have their app, the PFL app, and I know there's something they were saying that's a way to get to watch it. But yeah, it's there's obviously confusion, and the last I heard, Jay Petrie put it out there, and other people put out that the ESPN app, Don Davis, yeah, that's one of the ways to try to watch. Maybe leave it at that.
Well, follow Caposa at
yeah, he'll be posting. He'll find the win.
He'll let you know how to watch it because PFL is definitely not going to.
It's fucking awful. Come on, guys. We need you to win. We're not rooting for you to fucking win. Do something.
It's funny because you mentioned Little League stuff. You've mentioned it in the past, and the first thing it's funny for me because the thing that pops into my head with Little League is Tom's River, New Jersey, because they won the Little League championship when I was like a kid, and that name, like the first name that always popped, and I'm like, it's just ironic you be from New Jersey and talking shit about the Little League World Series. The only thing I think of is some team from like 1998 that won it or whatever the hell that was. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. 8:30 p.m. my time. You know, it's a replay of one of the Stephen A. Smith shows or something. So really, we can't put it on. We can't put it on ESPN2 at 11:30 Eastern. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
I was literally checking before we started recording because I wanted to find an alternative. Like again, I want them to win. We need somebody else. Can't just be the UFC. We need the fucking WCW. We need the AEW. We need the other promotion. You know, anyway,
and it's just like nobody wants to take it, or they're all afraid to figure out how to do it right. But now we move to Saturday, back to Saturday.
Sanctioned bare knuckle fights in Newark.
I mean, yeah, it's so it's a company that's doing things right.
You want to know something? I mean, I don't mean to cut you off. Christine Ferreira, who's on the card, she's actually at the UFC gym tonight at the one where my jiu-jitsu school's at. And I only found out this morning that she was going to be there tonight doing like a signing session and stuff. So I'm like, oh shit, you know, like, oh well. But yeah, because they are in New Jersey.
Yep. So we heard Feldman today a little bit on Hawani's show. The fight's off with the one you mentioned with Frankie Edgar. Mm-hmm. We don't know exactly if it's going to be a replacement for Jimmy Rivera yet. At least I'm not aware of it as of now.
Let's see if somebody.
You know, I It sucks. It's going against the UFC card. He mentioned that he didn't plan that. I suppose he might be right. He says he doesn't like to do that. And then, the only issue is then I'm looking at a card near me that's announced for November, and it just happens to be the same night as UFC New York. So it's like, no, you kind of do. Or somebody on your team definitely it has a scheduling issue or not understanding that you're going up against UFC pay-per-views. I don't know any other way around it. I mean, that UFC, maybe you could argue October 4th hasn't been known, but I would say October 4th has been known for at least several months.
Uncrowned is saying Timmy Mason is replacing Edgar as Jimmy Rivera's opponent. That was around the time the news broke. Uncrowned, I know that's the Yahoo.
So, hey, at least they're keeping Rivera on the card. Good job at BKFC having a backup ready. I would bet the house on Rivera. Not even knowing anything about the other guy, but so that's that. Did you happen to catch, though? Did you happen to hear him catch how he's going to have different shows and like the rules he's going to have for like the smaller show? Did you happen to catch any of that when he was talking?
The tentpole events and stuff like that he was talking about?
Then he said they're going to have like their underground fights, basically. They're going to be in smaller places with only a couple hundred people, kind of their apex kind of thing.
I don't know if they're going to have like did they make it sound like it was going to be one central?
No. He said it would just be like, so like if they came out towards my end, maybe they would do it like a small, casino ballroom or something like that. Or in a small little like the venue they had in Long Beach wasn't that big. That was probably under
the reason
people.
The reason I asked that is because the fact that he mentioned that with them being sanctioned in this state and in New Jersey, and New Jersey is literally, if you look, you can just check Central Jersey news, check Northern New Jersey news. They're sprouting up these little arenas and everything all over the place, literally all over the place, like including close to where I work in this area where I live, and that's why I said Central New Jersey. There is a Central New Jersey, you fuckheads. I grew up in it, but so I feel like maybe because the politicians around here are trying to find ways to bring in revenue, I wouldn't be surprised if they do. This is the first of many that they do here on the East Coast, especially if they're going to try to make a Connecticut, between with New York in the middle. We're trying to bait New York to sanction it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do a lot of those smaller events here.
It's only a matter of time before New York sanctions it if they spend enough time in Philly and New Jersey. But if they take enough money from New York will want to get in on the money grab, and they'll do it. No, the thing I wanted to get at, so they're going to have these small events, but the catch on those, and this had me pretty kind of, like, hey, now we're talking, is the small events, all the fighters. So let's say there's an 8-fight card. All 16 fighters are going to be the same weight class. They're all going to be they're experience-wise. And then he said 5 minutes before the event, they're going to draw the name of their opponent.
That's fun.
So, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's for those shows, but I do know I noticed on one of these last one of the early fights, they went down to some 3-minute rounds. So 3 minutes on some of the early fights. I don't know if that was something specific for the event that I was watching
I did like that he said that Triller is not is a minority owner, not a majority owner, as far as owning shares of the company, and that they're looking for somebody to take a bigger piece of the pie. So I hope somebody good does. I mean, I wouldn't even mind if it was somebody. I wouldn't even mind if the UFC was the one that did it. Just because the BKFC is something that we need something else, and BKFC.
Yeah, but I don't want TKO taking it. I mean, I understand that it could be lucrative and it could be fun for a while. I just feel like there's going to come a time. I don't want the UFC to have the ability to crush these people when they just decide that they're done with them.
Yeah,
and we need there's got to be some foreign billionaire out there that's willing just to. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe Elon Musk, go ahead and buy.
There you go.
Make it exclusively on Twitter all day.
Since you're definitely listening to this podcast, Elon, I think you should definitely buy BKFC, and I think you can probably find a high-paying position for Ed and I. So yeah, feel free to reach out, Elon. And I did buy a Tesla a couple months ago, so I'm on your side, so feel free to reach out. We can work something out. Yeah. So getting back to this card, we mentioned the one fight's changed. I did notice Carl Robertson's on the card, so you got a UFC veteran also making somebody who's fought in a lot of big UFC events, getting a chance against Bambosa, another former UFC fighter. So that should be a fun fight. But this card is the two top fights: the Queen of Violence and the King of Violence. Christina Fajea, if you don't know her, she's just pure savage. She's from my area of town. I believe and I know it says Las Vegas, but she spent a lot of time in the San Diego area. I know. I've seen her fight. I've seen her around. She's a killer.
She's got a 10-1 bare knuckle record. There's not even that many dudes that have a 10-1 record in this sport. So she's the real deal.
Yeah, and but she's also now going up 2 weight classes. So she's like the 125-pound champion. She's essentially going up to fight the Chris Cyborg weight champion in Jessica Borga, who is nowhere near the experience, but is also 3-0 with 3 knockout finishes in bare knuckle boxing. So I think it's properly titled. Whoever wins this is definitely the most violent woman currently in BKFC. I think Christina is their all time at this point. Britt, oh gosh, I don't know what her name. Their other champion who's been around beat Paige. Britt, I don't know why. It slipped my head. Name. But anyways, I think I don't really know how to judge that fight because I don't know what the size difference is. I kind of need to see them square off for the weigh-in.
Yeah.
And kind of see what the difference is and what we're doing. As far as savagery goes, no one's more savage than Faria. So if it just comes down to who's going to go in there and who's going to be willing to take the punishment and put out punishment, she'll win. I just don't know if there's going to be a size difference that's going to be so dramatic you're going to kind of want to step back and not sure exactly how it's going to play out.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard for me to pick against her at this point with what she's done in bare knuckle so far, and this fight is probably the most interesting to me because Jeremy Stevens shines in bare knuckle fighting, and obviously Mike Perry's the guy that's been there a little bit before him. Both similar histories, coming from the UFC, coming from MMA. I just honestly, I mean, when it comes to this particular combat sport and this man, Mike Perry, I don't, even when he's losing, he can throw a one punch that'll just, he'll win off of the one punch. We saw that when he fought Eddie Alvarez. So when it's bare knuckle and Mike Perry, I'm just picking Mike Perry.
It's Britain Hart. I don't want to be disrespectful. She's been the champion forever over there, and she's also one of their female goats in their division. So, yeah, I mean, so I guess my issue with this fight is, first of all, I think it's kind of cool we're seeing a guy who went from BKFC to the UFC and now he's back in BKFC in a 3-fight span. I think that's kind of old school. When you look at a guy's record throughout history, back in the day, you used to see like UFC, Extreme Challenge UFC and stuff. And like back then when those meant something. So it's kind of cool to see that there's been a little mobility for a fighter, which has always kind of been what the issue is with some of these contracts. So I do like that. He's been more active. I think it scares me about Mike Perry is he hasn't fought bare knuckle in a year and a half. In his last fight, he lost a pretty embarrassing fight to Jake Paul.
Yeah, so that was pillow. That was sanctioned boxing. I actually think the year and a half off is good for Mike Perry, and then to come back he's fresh.
I mean, there is an argument to be said for that. So I guess we'll wait and see. I do feel like Stevens has more one punch pure knockout power, like face planting you into the ground kind of knockout power, whereas Perry is more I'm just going to break your face with this kind of punch,
Mhm.
but you might stay conscious, which I don't know is better. I don't know if you, gosh, this is a great fight. Two guys who I thought kind of had exodus from BKFC with some of the controversy, and then so I didn't really see this fight coming as of the day before they announced it. I wouldn't have thought these guys were even necessarily a possibility at that point. Heck, you pick Perry, I'll pick Stevens. We have a little bit of a thing on it. I think this is going to be a bloodbath, though, and I think it's going to be. This might be one where you have two guys who are not going to be afraid of each other. So I think that this could be one where you get another fight. No matter, you know what I mean? Like most guys don't fight these guys in bare knuckle and then are like, oh, I can't wait to have a rematch. I think either one, whoever loses this, the first thing they're going to want is a rematch. But I do feel like it's. I mean, Mike Perry's the man, but I do wonder. I do wonder how it all. And I'm assuming that it's wrong. 5 2-minute rounds. And I said 5 3-minute rounds earlier. Obviously, it was 3 2-minute rounds is what some of the ones. I'm going to check on here and see if they have that. No, these are all 5-round fights. Yeah, okay. I'll pick Stevens. I'll just pick Stevens, but I think this is going to be a fight that's going to be a bloodbath and probably going to be. I think with the main events for the UFC, I think this one might be the one around that time slot that's getting all the Twitter buzz. Because I think some people might be kind of counting down the last 23, 24 minutes of some of those other fights, potentially on the UFC top 2 fights.
Yeah, and especially if it turns into something, if it seems like it's going to go the other way of, if it seems like it's going to go the other way of like a snore fest or whatever, for depending on what your tastes are in combat sports, then I could definitely see people, oh, F this, let me go watch bare knuckle.
We'll see. I mean,
also, I think the bare knuckle pacing will probably be better. Because
they're going to be pushing 8 fights, 9 fights in the same time. UFC is going to be pushing 5 fights,
especially for my crowd in the East Coast. We get tired with these double championship UFC cards. Might be tuning out after Marab does his thing.
A couple things. I wish they talk about not wanting to go head to head with the UFC. Well, I probably would have started my main card not at 7. Wait a minute. Okay, I don't know when the main card starts. Maybe the main card starts at 6. Maybe they are ahead of the time.
I think the event starts
6 p.m. The event starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time, according to this.
No, well, I just had the website up. It says 6 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah, it says 6 p.m. on the website. On their website. But they also have Frankie Edgar.
But that means the main card's not starting until, that probably 7. So they're basically going heads up with the UFC. So I don't know. I know people in Newark probably wouldn't mind if this event started like at 4. Got over
start around 2 o'clock.
Okay, well, I wanted to give them a little bit of the, hey, at least you can see a little bit of the sun going down. But it's good fights. Good fights all around. Some top heavy cards. UFC's got probably more depth than the other ones, but if you catch the top 2 fights or top 3 fights of every one of these cards, you're gonna have a hell of a combat palooza weekend. So I think that about
Fight Pass.
does it.
I can watch those prelims. the pre-prelims for the UFC. I can watch that's like a little Bellator card for. So I'm gonna watch with mixing what's his name on there and Vanderford. So yeah, should be good.
And to answer Antoine's question, I hate the fucking Raiders. I'm a San Diego Charger fan, not an LA Charger fan, so I really don't have a team anymore.
How are the Raiders doing, Matt? Falcons are
hate the fucking Raiders, but I do have Bijan and I do have Genti on my fantasy team, so they can help run me to a championship hopefully at some point. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Fans can follow the show at Combat Hour on Twitter, Coast-to-Coast Combat Hour on Instagram. Follow me at FightFanHawk on Twitter. MMA Hawk 21 on Instagram. Follow Ed at Carbazol on Twitter, Carbeerzol on Instagram, and Old Head Carb on Twitch. Thanks for the questions, comments. Enjoy the Fight Palooza, Combat Palooza weekend, and look forward to next chat.